I'm M. Sauter, better known as Pints and Panels.
And I'm Don Tess, better known as the Don of Beer.
Welcome to episode 94 of the All About Beer podcast. Every episode, we talk with leading experts and take a deep dive into one topic in beer. This week on the show, we're going to talk 18th century brewing, as this month is the United States' 250th birthday.
Happy birthday!
We did it!
Yay!
Same here. Please visit allaboutbeer.com and follow us on social media at allaboutbeer, and go to allaboutbeer.com/support to support this show and others. Don,
Yes,
I know you're Canadian.
I am indeed. What's that
And you're,
about?
I don't, I don't want to really sorry. You must be sorry not to be American or not. But what do you know anything about 18th century brewing or
Uh,
America? Do you know anything about us?
I've never heard of America. That's
It's
so
fine. It's
to
fine. We're
find
all
out that,
tucked.
yeah,
We're tucked
250
down.
years. What?
We're all tucked down there.
Tucked away up there.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I mean, I'm a beer nerd, as you know, so I've had
Sure.
some beer reproductions, and so I'm
Mm-hmm.
kind of interested here about that. Ingredients, I'm a ingredients nerd, so like,
Sure.
I have done some research into old ingredients and stuff. I just think, it's 250. What a nice round number, and what a
Love
great
it.
reason to have a big ass celebration, and what a cool time to be American, right? How
Sure.
about you, Em?
I'm excited to talk with the people that we have on today are, really passionate about knowledge of I just want to know, like, what did people eat back then? Why were they drinking beer? How were they making it? I mean, I have a lot of questions, so I'm really excited to dig
And
in.
like, how much citra hops did they put in the dry hop?
Oh my God, so much.
Right.
Double mash, double dry. I mean, yeah, they love that stuff. Yeah, the lactose in the 18th
Oh,
century was
Amelo
off.
3000 to make it
Yeah,
brewed
real. Yep.
IPAs. Yeah.
Anyway, if you'd like to help support the All About Beer podcast, please reach out to podcast@allaboutbeer.com. Speaking of supporting the show, here is a word from our sponsor.
This episode is brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Athletic Brewing's non-alcoholic beer tastes so good, you won't believe it's non-alcoholic. Their brews are available at over 75,000 grocery stores, liquor stores, bars, and restaurants nationwide. Or you can grab some of their limited time offerings directly from their website. That's where you'll find exciting innovations like their first ever nitrogen-infused dark brew, Emerald Cliffs. And right now, you can save up to 25% and get a free glass and unlock access to exclusive brews when you sign up for the Athletic Club and purchase 4 or more six-packs. Go to athleticbrewing.com to get brews shipped directly to your door or find retailers near you. Near Beer. Terms and conditions. Certain limitations apply. Athletic Brewing Company. Fit for all times.
Escarpment Labs is the official yeast partner of Pink Boots Brews. Their Pink Boots yeast is a versatile German Kolsch strain that works across different beer styles. In light beers, it delivers bright, white wine-like aromatics. In hop-forward beers, it drives clean, citrus-forward biotransformation. Every purchase supports the Pink Boots Society, with 15% of proceeds funding scholarships and professional development for women and non-binary people in brewing. To place an order, email sales@escarpmentlabs.com.
Today's episode is brought to you by Salvo, a 100% hop-derived variety specific aroma extract from Hopsteiner. Get all the benefits of variety-specific concentrated hop flavor without the unnecessary bitterness or vegetal matter. Salvo provides clean, concentrated aroma, scalable dosing, and yield savings efficiency. If your kettle and centrifuge could talk, they'd ask for Salvo by name.
Marc Meltonville works as a consultant food and drink historian, researching and lecturing on many diverse subjects across the UK and the world. He is currently a research fellow at the Cultural Heritage Department of the Royal Agricultural University in Gloucestershire. That's fun. And lectures at the Royal Collection Trust in London and at the exhibitions at Buckingham Palace. Mark is working with the Food Cult Project based at Trinity College in Dublin, continuing his research to use and recreate a Tudor brewery. This is a four-university project looking at food and nutrition in the 16th century. For over a decade, Mark worked as the heritage distiller for the George Washington Distillery in Virginia and has worked with numerous museums over the years looking at many aspects of general social history. He prefers what is known as the long view history, where you step back from the object you are studying and try to put it back into the world it came from. For 25 years, he worked as a food historian to the historic royal palaces, working on world-famous projects to bring the life of Tudor kitchens of Hampton Court, the royal kitchens at Kew Gardens, and the chocolate kitchen of King George II.
What? This guy is so cool.
Mark has also presented during events at Kensington and Buckingham Palaces and Hillsborough Castle, the King's residence in Northern Ireland. Well, look at that. His latest book, The Tavern Cook, is published by Prospect Books and looks at tavern food in the 18th century. Mark splits his time between Buckinghamshire, England, and Normandy, France, and he would like you to both know that both have a lot of trees. Welcome to the show, Mark.
Hi there.
Thank you so much for being here today, all the way from England. We wanted to discuss, and we're really excited that you're on the program because you have such a fun resume and, in food history and whatnot. And so your focus is on, when we talked before, your focus is mainly on distilling, but food of centuries past. Can you, just for starters, talk about what foods the like colonies would have been growing or making or eating 250 years ago?
Yeah, this is I started off in the UK and then I got shipped over to you guys quite a while ago, and
You
backwards and
people.
forwards every a couple of times a year. And so if your job is researching and lecturing on food, drink, and dining history, you very quickly get caught up in the food of where you are. And so
Hmm.
it wasn't long before I ended up in some of the colonial kitchens up and down the East Coast. And I've been really lucky to cook at places like Williamsburg and even do some brewing there. So yeah, the food's difficult because you're such a nation of nations. It's brilliant. So everywhere I've gone, the effects are different because do you have a Swedish background, a German background, a Dutch background, a British background, a French background? So for me, the only easy ones I can do is when I stumble across items that I recognize from English food history,
Hmm.
and then see how they've adapted that. The first big thing I noticed in America, and it's a really odd one with food, is you guys have got a lot of wood. Um,
No,
and
okay.
everyone goes, well, what do you mean? Well, the early colonist food writings, that's what they write back to England. They go, guys, there's loads of wood here. We haven't got much in Britain. You can have an oven. You can have a roasting fire. You can afford to roast meat. Most people in Britain couldn't have a roast meal if you're doing it
Really?
Oh.
properly. Proper roasting is putting a piece of meat or fish or something in front of a raging fire. That's You don't roast in an oven. You use the correct term when you do a chicken. You bake a chicken. Anything in an oven is baked. And most people in Britain, not only could they not afford the meat, but there's just no way they're going to afford the amount of fuel to roast. So the moment they get over to America, not only do you build a log cabin, but you use all the offcuts to then cook some food. You guys put logs in ovens. We don't do that here. We use brushwood in Britain. So it was a massive change for them. Probably a much higher meat diet than they'd ever had before. But then you also have the problems. You read about the fact that things like our wheat and our barley, we'll get to that with beer, won't grow
Sure.
in the humid parts of the state. So they have to adjust. They have to look at this corn that grows there and work out, well, can we eat that too? So it's a complete mix of what I brought back with me, which
Mhm.
for 18th century food is a complete mix of stews and pies and roasts and bakes, but they're suddenly being able to do things they couldn't do in Britain. The one thing that no one always realizes is a meal in the past, up until about 1830, whether it be Britain or America, is a buffet. It is
Oh,
not a plate of food. You're going to get a drink, and you're going to get a choice of drinks. You're going to get food, and you're going to get choices of food. The moment you go beyond someone who just offers you a scoop of stew, as a host, my job is to offer you a selection of things. So if you went into a colonial house, I'm going to make sure there's some roast meat on the table. There's a pie. Maybe there's a chicken there. They're not that common in Britain because we need them for eggs. So there's all these things on the table that make me think, God, it's good here. And then you'll have a selection of vegetables, and you probably put something sweet in there as well. Why mess around with just having savory on the first course? Why not put something sweet out there too? And my guests get to choose, Because in a world where most people who are poor can't choose their food, having a
Hmm.
choice of things is a great starter.
I guess it reminds me of like now I'm thinking back to like shows I've watched that are set in the 18th century, and they have such a smorgasbord of things out,
Hmm.
and that's why it's not just because they, you know, that's just how everybody ate, right?
I say the moment you go above the simple working family who sits
Hmm.
down with some bread and some stew,
Hmm.
you go to what you guys call family style. Help yourself. It'd be really interesting if we could take one of your great founding fathers to a modern restaurant. The first thing he's going to say is, how come I don't get to choose how much of everything's on my plate? You know,
Mm.
what the hell's your chef doing? How come I don't like peas as much as like carrots? Why can't I choose a selection of food for myself? And then we're going to say, well, it's all fresh and local. To which he's going to say, so your gardener's no good then? Because the whole point in the past, when everything was organic, was if
Hmm.
I've got money, can I get someone to grow things out of season? Can I get a salad on my table at December? Can I get things that shouldn't be there? So it's completely different ideology to us.
Mm.
That's fascinating.
Yeah. I've already learned so much. Um, Mark, your focus is on tavern cooking. Can you
Yeah,
describe what that means in the 18th century and why taverns are important? And then did that
yeah.
carry over to the colonies?
I hoped so, and one of the sad answers is it doesn't seem to, but it does
Oh.
carry over in a way. Last year was the tavern conference, and my job was to put into context what's a tavern in 18th century England, specifically in Europe. And I got to go on and go, well, it's actually all to do with licensing. Everything's always licensed, all about tax, always. Beer is all about tax. And a tavern in England was not a pub, and it's not an inn, and it's not a tippling joint, and it's not
Hmm.
an ale house, and it's not all of those things. It's a different license. And a tavern meant you had a wine license, a taverna from the
Oh,
old Latin. And so if you went into a tavern, it tended to mean in a town in England that you were the wealthier class, the business owners. I'm going to walk past that ale house where all my workers are sipping the beer and go into a tavern and enjoy better food. We think of them as fine dining restaurants and glasses of wine. They start off like that. They slowly all morph together. In England, if you're traveling, you can only go to an inn because that's a pub with rooms and somewhere to put your horse. If you're a worker, as I just said, you go to an ale house, you enjoy food and beer. Seemingly, as they come across in the 18th century, I look at your legislation and think, hang on, guys, you don't do that. So my little pub's going to be called a tavern because to a lot of the people coming over, they go, oh, that's high class. I'm going straight
oh,
there.
Oh.
But your American taverns are almost all the same. Your inns, your taverns,
Hmm.
your pubs, there doesn't seem to be any designation. I can go in there and enjoy any sort of drink, any sort of food. And I think it's going to be down to reputation. Everyone goes, oh, whatever you do, don't go into the one at the end of the street. You'll you'll get a fight picked with you. Come back over here. So it's so one of the earliest pubs, and that's up your way. I think that's Boston, Connecticut way is the
Yeah. Oh,
oldest pub
yeah.
in
No, we've
America.
got all the Post Road and the
Yeah,
yeah, and the
but they are
Edinburgh.
not there's no difference. They don't
Yes.
they don't work out as,
Hmm.
oh, it's a tavern, I can only get wine there. It's a complete difference. So I'd expect a good meal and good beer and possibly somewhere to stay at an 18th century American tavern.
Yes. Yeah. No, there's a really lovely one near my house that's still open. It's been open since 1776, and it's still an inn. It's a restaurant. They have sea shanty night. They have someone make ale for them. It's very, very cool. Donald, if you ever come to Connecticut, I'll take you there. It's very
okay.
cool.
That sounds good to
And
me.
Mark too, if you ever want to come to Connecticut.
I Be careful because I do tend to turn up places.
That's fine. You seem like a very nice man. I just met you, but yeah, no, we have a guest room. You can come and we'll go and sink, read. Yeah, anyway, back to talking about beer. I wanted to ask, this is something a lot of people talk about is that many people say that people drank beer because the water was unsafe and yeah, and I like that you're
You're
laughing.
giggling already.
He's giggling
Yeah,
already.
I
Let's talk
like
about,
that.
let's talk about, how true that was.
I think if it's one of the things that I'd like to live to 90 and I still don't think I'll have quashed
Yeah,
that
I know,
that
me
myth.
too.
It gets told everywhere. I was told it at school. There
Of
seems to be
course.
two great myths about food. One is everyone drank beer because the water was bad.
Hmm.
And the other one is that in the long time past, everyone put spice on meat because it was rotten. Well, both of those don't work out, and we'll work on the beer one. Have you ever been to a brewery? I've been to a lot of brewery tours. I really like going on them.
Hmm.
And the guy out the front or the girl will say, "Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to go into the brewery. Everybody drank beer in the past because the water was bad." Then we all go into room one, and the same person goes, "To make good beer, you need good water." And I always say to them, and so which one is it, please? Because you're not listening to what you said. And this is the thing, if you go back into any 18th century beer book, and there are quite a lot of beer recipe books and how-to books and how to set up your brewery. I have probably as many recipes for how to repair bad beer as I do how to brew good beer.
Hmm.
And all of them talk about, there's always a chapter on finding good water, making sure it's fresh spring water. Don't use some pond, don't use some horrible river that's not clear. You need good water. And that seems to be the very essence of it. There are two problems. One, people didn't like dirty water, and if anybody here was about to go off to somewhere like Egypt or some South American country, I might warn you, be careful. Their water's not that reliable. Be careful. You're going to do the same when you go about two towns away because you just don't know them. So
Hmm.
there is that don't drink the water when you travel, but you might mean 5 miles away. If you've got anyone listening to this who's ever dug a well, you do not put all that effort into digging where the water's bad. You find a good spring and you dig somewhere where it's beautiful. Some of you might have heard, and I'm going to drop back a century or two. Ale and beer used to be different.
Hmm.
Originally, if you go back into the Middle Ages, ale has no hops in and beer has hops in from Flanders. What most people don't realize is for the 1,000 years that Europe made ale, you don't boil it. There's no boiling process. You don't need that hop break. You don't need that hop boil with it. So they weren't boiling their water. So it can't have been bad.
I
Oh,
love
because
it.
I love it because I've always been told that it was fine because they were boiling it and they didn't put two and two together, that when you boil water, you're killing off everything. But that's not the case.
Somebody must have, and we got beer people listening, so we can get a little
Oh,
bit
oh no, yeah, no,
we
Yes.
got we can get technical on this.
you've got some
If
nerds.
if if the recipes that I follow from the 17th and 18th centuries were boiling it with the hops to clean the water, we'd go up to the boil and stop
Hmm.
because that's all we'd need. In fact, we actually know we don't need much even that high.
Right.
But every recipe has its secret hot boil time: 1 hour, hour and a half, 2 hours, whatever they do. 2 ounces of hops, 4 ounces of hops, all part of the recipe. They are boiling it to create that break, to create what we now know as breaks the proteins down, starts the long chain proteins, clearing the beer, clumping together some of those things. So they've discovered that in what I call the science of craft. When you find out something really sciencey, but you don't know what that is, so it gets welded into your craft. This is how you do it because it becomes good.
Right. So does because you mentioned that, if you go back further, they didn't even boil it. Does the beginning of boiling coincide, give or take, with the popularity of using hops in beer?
It seems to come with the hop recipes.
Excellent.
The
Interesting.
early hop recipes are all from what we now call northern Germany, spread by the Hanseatic League, the Hansa. The Hansa are massive capitalists. They're all about money and trade. Um, their beer up in that corner, I think, is already hops is their go-to. Every country has its go-to bittering herb, as we call it. Britain
Hmm.
tends to use either sweet gale or ale hoof. They use hops. They're into business, not beer, and they sell beer down the coast because their beer, with that slight preservative nature of hops, means it travels well. English ale's fine; you can keep it for quite a long time, but hopped beer travels well. So hop beer gets shipped out by them. The next time it turns up, you and I drink it, go, this is good. I like this. And the man down there says I can make extra and sell it in the next town. So I start making it, and it just creeps across Europe
Yeah.
and works its way down. So the hop beer is as much about trade as flavor, but it does seem to be a new taste, a bit like the lager revolution that happened in Europe in the
Mm,
1970s. A new
Right.
taste. Everyone
yeah.
wants some.
Right. Right. Um, I want to go back to corn. You mentioned that
Mm.
earlier. So can you, walk us through how beer comes over? We don't have, we can't grow the same grain, so we just corn grows here. How does that discovery happen? Is the corn the same as we would know it today? And how did they discover that corn could make good beer
Well, they
versus
didn't.
any
I
other
think it's the
thing?
biggest
I was
Oh,
gonna
problem.
say, yeah, I was gonna say just
okay.
They,
beer.
they looked at it and sort of ground it up and spat it out and tried all that. And I mean, of course, one of the problems with the early colonists and right into the 19th century is the refusal to accept the slaking of corn, so it doesn't do anything. The corn beers, I think, will have been ignored. You'll this I like this. There's politics and there's trade. Now, you're about to celebrate 250 years of getting
Hmm.
a little bit antsy with my king, and splitting off and becoming your own country. That's fair enough. We got over it. Um, what you can't grow on the East Coast is barley. It's too humid on most of the initial 13 colonies is a real problem. So you still have to buy barley from Britain. And it's one of those things that has to be done quite quietly and hope that it all just gets glossed over as part of international trade. Yes, until
Mhm.
you find regions where barley will grow, which you can grow it pretty well up Pennsylvania way, I think, and a bit further north than that. But any further south, some of the early colonies, you can't grow barley down there. So you're going to
Yeah.
end up having to make a rye beer or a wheat beer, whatever you can grow. But corn doesn't do it for the colonists. They're looking for the others.
What other like ingredients were they using to try to make beer? There's always talk of spruce tips and molasses, stuff like
Yeah,
that.
I mean, you'll try anyone.
Yeah, yeah.
Hops grow really well in the Americas. They are described in England before anyone even uses them as beer making. They are described as a pernicious weed. Is the problem with hops?
Mhm.
They will not grow everywhere. So the moment you can get some hops going, then they'll grow pretty well in most of your regions. And you took the Golding hop from Kent, and it
Hmm.
very quickly becomes the American Golding. So you can get your hops in there quite well, but people are always looking for other flavors. The spruce beer and all of those are they're difficult to describe because the spruce beers are slightly different and they're a little bit more medicinal, aren't they? They're heading down
Hmm.
that root beer route where
Yeah.
people are
Hmm.
always looking for different flavors that slightly medicinal hit to it. And the molasses beer, again, it's coming up from the south, from the West Indies. When you've got byproducts from the sugar industry, anyone who knows how to ferment knows that uh, yeast like sugar. So if you've got sugar and water, you've got the start of a drink. So you'll move your way on there, see what
Hmm.
else you can put in it, look for the local herbs and spices. What do they stick in beers right down the south there? What do they put in with the molasses and things? What flavors do you get?
Oh, are you asking us?
Yeah, I've heard of a few very strange. There's a few unusual herbs from the what you'd call the deep south that go into some of the molasses beers and so on. So they're
Uh,
they're trying out all of the
yeah.
indigenous flowers and going, yep, that works, and no, that doesn't.
Well, yeah, they use like there's like pumpkin, pecan,
Mm,
like yeah, pecan. There's like squashes. There's
yeah.
pawpaw, which is that really
People
weird.
people don't realize we don't have
Yeah.
pumpkins in Europe. They're you have to bring those over. So it's
Oh, okay.
Oh.
they're all trying all these. We have got some Mediterranean gourds and
Hmm.
we have the turnip, the
Hmm.
rutabaga, but we don't have any pumpkins.
Hmm.
That answers the what did you used to do at Halloween?
Yeah.
Nothing.
Actually, conversely, barley is not native to North America. It had to
No,
be
no,
brought.
it has to come over. They have
Yeah.
to work out where they can grow it. That is the bigger initial beer problem, is it doesn't like high humidity, and you guys are quite good at high humidity in
We
various
do. Yep.
states.
It's very humid here today.
Yeah,
But so one of your main focus is distill, or one of the things we talked about is distilling. How did
yeah.
distilling play a role in 18th century living, or was it beer was just the focus?
beer's one of the focuses, but distilling is on the rise, and uh, people need to make money. In all of the in most of the 18th century breweries that I've been through, including quite a famous one in Alexandria,
Okay.
just up from DC.
Hmm.
There's a Mr. Wales who came over from Britain, and he provides beer for Washington's estate.
Okay.
He's making that. His life goes up and down. If you're ever in Alexandria, look for Wales Alley. It's still there. That used to
Huh.
run past the brewery.
Okay.
He's one of the people that mentions the same things as English brewers that gets thrown away. Any decent 18th century brewer has a still in the corner.
Okay.
Oh,
They don't see it as a problem. They don't see it as I'm a distiller, you're a brewer. There's always a still in the corner of a good sized brewery
ah,
because, as I've alluded to, beer goes wrong, especially when you've got
Mm.
the high heats you guys get and the weather changes, something goes wrong with the yeast, with the beer, maybe some wild yeast gets in and it's not what they wanted. The first thing you do is look at it, taste it, and think, can I fix that? And we have these recipes from the 18th century, fixing foxed ale, fixing ropey ale, fixing all these different descriptions of obviously ale that they think doesn't taste quite right. And if you boil them all down, it's mostly put some more sugar and yeast in and see what happens. See if it'll re-ferment and you get something drinkable. Every now and then, you're going to look at this stuff and think, I can't do anything with that. I've got 3 barrels of what's that no one's going to buy. But those 3 barrels are possibly imported barley or expensive barley. Yeast still costs money.
Mhm.
Fuel, every beer recipe usually writes down how much it's going to cost you in wood or coal to make it, so you can add
oh,
that into your sales price. So if you've got a load of spoilt beer, you take it straight down to the still and you put it through and you produce a spirit, which we'd think of as white whiskey, and
Mhm.
they sell it initially to the apothecaries, the medicine people in
Ah,
town.
okay.
So you take it straight down there as a big jug of pure spirit, and then you can get your money back for doing that. As you're going into the 18th century, there's a lot of split going on. People say, hang on, hang on, hang on. You can give it to the apothecaries and they can turn it into medicine, but you can drink it because we can drink it white or we can keep it in a barrel and we can start making the drinks that we now know as whiskies and rums, and over as you go into Kentucky, the bourbons and so on. So it's on the rise. The big love from Europe is brandy.
Hmm.
Brandy seems to be loved by so many people that virtually every fruit drink gets called a brandy when it isn't actually cognac.
right.
It seems to be a good
Yeah.
way of I've made you apple brandy, I've made you plum brandy, peach brandy. The answer is yes, but it's not cognac, is it? It's just what you can do. So the what I can't find is there is something around the late 1690s, 1700, around there. It's happening in your country, it's happening over here, where spirits go from medicinal to recreational.
Hmm.
Hmm.
And I've got bits of it. I can trace it slightly. I've got stuff in Ireland where they're drinking some of the very early whiskies in the late 1500s. And if you go to France, at the moment, when we finish a meal and we decide to have a cognac, a brandy, it's never called a drink, it's called a digestive. They've
Mhm.
Mhm.
almost flipped it over in their mind to, and now this is good for you guys. This is going to cut all that grease and cheese away. This isn't drinking, this is health. So
Ah.
there's at some point someone's flipped it over and gone, well, you know what? It might be medicine, but I rather like it. Um,
Can I ask you, the distilling,
mm,
people were selling it as a white
yeah,
liquid, or it could age and get some color in a barrel. Were they barrel aging it on purpose to make it better, or was just we need a place to store it, and then they discovered, oh,
it
this
seems to be
gives
a
it
bit
some
of both.
color.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
For most people, I mean, my experience is from George Washington's distillery down at Mount Vernon, and the large amount of rye whiskey that he's making is going straight out in casks, straight to sale. I am pretty sure that when we watch the majority of Westerns, even in the early 19th century, when they all line up and have that shot of whiskey, it probably should be white because they're
Hmm.
making it and selling it. Because if you run a business, you don't want to sit around for 10 years saying, I'm not going to sell any yet. I'm just going to wait. Business
Right.
doesn't work like that.
I mean, as you said, the whole point of the distillation was to save money on a spoiled beer, so they're not going
Yeah.
to
And
sit on
then
it.
once you
Yeah.
set up a full distillery, because you then make your own distiller's beer to turn into whiskies and bourbons,
Yeah.
um, you you're going to need a financial return very quickly. The barrel aging part of it will have come from Europe. They're already, especially with the cognacs, have worked that out. But it will have started off as accidental. I'll
Right.
put some. Well, I've got more than I can sell, so or even just transport it in a barrel, and
Mm.
Right.
it
Right.
comes all the way up from cognac into England. By which time if it's a couple of months in there, it'll have a slight tint to it, and it's
Right.
oh, that's a little bit like vanilla. That's a little bit nice. Yeah, well, we like that. So it's a slow learning curve of the fact that if you put it in the barrel and keep it in the barrel, but of course that costs money because the
Right.
longer it sits there, the more you lose, and the longer before you get any money for it.
Right.
So I want to ask about, I know I've been doing some talks about American beer history, and I know
Mm,
that George Washington would order porter
yeah,
from certain places in England. Was porter the like main style that people were looking for in
yeah.
England? And
It's become the big thing. It's
yeah,
the Porter
okay.
Revolution, the new drink. It's not easy. There's a new book out on it, and sadly I haven't read on it, the history of porter, which apparently is going to throw out a lot of the myths about porters and then thence into IPAs. Um, Porter seems to be what I would have thought of early in the century as just good, strong drinking beer
Hmm.
that gets
Oh,
the name of Porter in the city of London, and that name travels with it. It's quite dark, it's quite heavy, um, and it's just good, strong ale, named after the guys that carry everything around London. But it doesn't seem to be a stunning new drink at first, but it does coincide with the change of malt houses. Um, if you are a fan of stouts, anybody out
Of
there
course.
likes
Yeah.
stouts, and especially if you bring a stout from the UK and hopefully get a bottle of that in one of your liquor stores, you'll
Hmm.
notice the date on there is always 1750 something
Oh, okay.
to start. Guinness, Murphy's, all of
Yeah.
that. It coincides with the changeover to coal on malt houses, so you can get dark malts.
oh,
Prior to
in,
that, your malts are very, very amber and light. So porter also coincides with this new adjunct, the darker malts that can go in there and give it a rich flavour. So yeah, it's everybody likes it in England, and we know Washington imports it. That's another one where it's quietly. I don't mind getting some barrels of porter over.
Yeah, don't tell anyone, but
Well, it's trade.
yeah.
It doesn't matter.
let's talk about food.
Mm,
So what would people have been eating? What would be the most popular staple at the time? And, are people cooking? They're going out or breakfast,
yeah,
lunch, dinner? Breakfast is maybe a
it's
new
really
phenomenon. I don't know.
difficult because it's a bit like saying, what do we eat? When you look at the 18th century cookbooks, the most famous one in America is a lady called Hannah Glass. Have you come across her? Um,
I
no,
have not.
1747. She produces a cookbook in England, and it happens to be the first cookery book that is then printed in America. So it's not the first American cookbook, that goes to another lady. But this book is the first one where they print it in Philadelphia and you're able to buy it. It is a couple of inches thick. It has 700 or 800 recipes in it. It has bakes, boils, stews, soups. There's just absolutely everything in there. She's famous for her comment, first catch your rabbit. It's and they use that an awful lot in the descriptions, but it's the next one, the one I wrote on, which is called the art of another one called he calls it the English art of cookery when it's published in Britain. But of course, by the time it's published in Dublin and then Philadelphia, they've knocked the English off and it's just called the art of cookery because it sells better like that. but it's another one. It has 800 recipes in there. There is,
That's
if
crazy.
you've got the money, then your cook is just going to go through these lists of fricassees and ragouts and stews and soups. Whatever you've got, there seems to be 100 ways of cooking it. And the more you can do and the more techniques that you can find, then obviously it shows the wealthier host you are.
Hmm. So you've worked and brewed at Colonial Williamsburg and
Mhm.
probably done other stuff and food things with them. What's that experience like trying to recreate 18th century recipes with in 21st century? Is it really hard? Because we rely so heavily on
But
new things.
for me, it's really odd because as I've worked on food history for quite a few years, over 25 years, and some of my projects have gone back 4,000 years.
Oh
I
my.
Yeah.
find the 18th century is basically yesterday. It's just outside the back door. It's not far away. Um, and so I look at the food as just really good, slightly French inspired, good cookery. Ingredients are always going to be a problem. Uh, I found it fascinating when I first got to go with a guy called Frank and his team at the governor's palace kitchen there, because I was familiar with everything, but everything was different, if you know what I mean.
Sure.
My favorite thing was the first time I ever walked to work down the high street there. I'm in my tricorn hat and my breeches and my waistcoat and walking down the street, and I look foreign because there was something about everything of mine that was the same and not quite the same. I looked like I'd come from out of town, which is good because I had, and it was the same with cooking the food there. I thought I recognize this. I'm gonna, but it was just done slightly differently, and that's how cookery is going to go. They're very good. You can grow a lot of your vegetables. You can do that. We have to accept as history cooks that animals have changed massively.
Mm.
I
Mm.
cannot. That's why I've been involved in working on historic beers because we can backtrack grains. I've worked with microbiologists and we've worked on looking for really old strains of yeast. But put the other way with the food, I can't give you an 18th century sheep. The
Right.
genetics
Fair.
have changed so much, the breeding, the wanting a better animal, a leaner animal. There are heritage breeds, but even those apparently are still quite a lot different to what their cousins were. So we have to accept our limitations that some of the ingredients work really well. I can do you all of the vegetables, all of the grains, but then the meat is going to be similar. And of course, none of these old recipes tell you any amounts or timings. So in the
Huh.
book, it'll go, you're going to take some corn and you can cook it till it bursts, or you add some onions, and it gives you a process. But the guy writing the book or the lady writing the book, she doesn't know how many people you got coming. You're a cook. You do enough. You're cooking on a fire with charcoal or burning logs. I don't know how hot your fire is, so I will write what
Oh.
sounds like a really facetious comment at the end of the recipe and say, cook till done. But I mean it. You cook it till it's done, man.
I love it.
Because and so they're not like our modern cookbooks are basically food porn, aren't they? You sit on the table with all these sexy pictures of what you're not going to cook ever. These books these books were for cooks, almost like a reminder book. So you're saying, what could we eat? In comes some lovely trout one day from the back door. I go and grab this book, and there are 6 ways to bake trout, put trout in a pie, make a stew of trout. They're there to remind me, oh yeah, I can do that and that and that with it. But they don't really go into massive detail because they don't need to. I can't think of very many where they tell you how to make pastry because you can do that.
Ah, I see. Well, having said all of that, is there any recipe you would hope people get to try and make, or so
Yeah,
anybody can listen,
I
or
like
listeners can do?
messing with people, um,
Okay.
and pulling out a bit like we started this off with. Don't drink the water. Oh yes, you can. Um, I would suggest that, and you can look these up online because a lot of all these books are now have been PDF'd or people are commenting about them. Go and find yourself a mid 18th century or late 18th century if we're looking at the 250s, and look up curry because there are wonderful curry recipes in there.
Really?
Really?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so that
Jeez.
messes with people going, what? They had curry? Yeah, spices are coming all the way from India. That flavor appeals to people. So in that book that I mentioned, Hannah Glass, first cookbook published in the Americas. She has a chicken curry in there, and she serves it with
What?
pilau rice, and it's a really
What?
good recipe. And the other one I like from it's in that one as well, and it's in a man called Briggs. Is he tells you how to do barbecue pork. I mean, what's not to like?
Mm. Well, Mark, this has been fascinating, and I'm also
Yes.
very hungry now.
Yes. And thirsty.
I can't chicken curry in the eight. All right.
Okay.
If people want to reach out to you or learn more about you, do you have a website or social media
Yep.
handles?
Yeah, you can go straight to my name. Just Google my name and you'll get my website. And on Instagram, I'm at Marc Meltonville. Say hi.
Wonderful. Awesome. Mark,
This was great.
thank you so much for all your expertise. This was awesome. Thank you so much.
Cheers.
Cheers.
I look,
Cheers.
look forward to seeing you all sometime.
Yeah, come. I already invited your family. Stay.
Yes,
Yeah,
in Connecticut.
we're going to go sing some sea shanties. So I
I'll
look
sleep
forward to
on your
that.
couch.
You
Yes.
can. Yeah, we just got a new
Thank you.
couch. So cheers.
Cheers, everybody.
Thanks. And we'll be right back with Joel Will of Rohrbach Brewing Company and Brian Nagel of the Genesee Country Village and Museum after this word from our sponsor.
Let's talk about brewhouse efficiency. Replacing pellet loads with salvo can not only boost aroma density, but reduce true load and increase beer wort. Seems like simple math, but if it's still not obvious, replacing pellets with salvo can give you more beer per batch with better brewhouse efficiency. Salvo, designed for brewers who are tired of sacrificing yield for aroma.
Escarpment Labs is the official yeast partner of Pink Boots Brews. Their Pink Boots yeast is a versatile German Kolsch strain that works across different beer styles. In light beers, it delivers bright, white wine-like aromatics. In hop-forward beers, it drives clean, citrus-forward biotransformation. Every purchase supports the Pink Boots Society, with 15% of proceeds funding scholarships and professional development for women and non-binary people in brewing. To place an order, email sales@escarpmentlabs.com.
This episode is brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Athletic Brewing's non-alcoholic beer tastes so good, you won't believe it's non-alcoholic. Their brews are available at over 75,000 grocery stores, liquor stores, bars, and restaurants nationwide. Or you can grab some of their limited time offerings directly from their website. That's where you'll find exciting innovations like their first ever nitrogen-infused dark brew, Emerald Cliffs. And right now, you can save up to 25% and get a free glass and unlock access to exclusive brews when you sign up for the Athletic Club and purchase 4 or more six-packs. Go to athleticbrewing.com to get brews shipped directly to your door or find retailers near you. Near Beer. Terms and conditions. Certain limitations apply. Athletic Brewing Company. Fit for all times.
Joel Will has been with Rohrbach Brewing Company since 2009, starting as a server and bartender at the Rohrbach Brew Pub while finishing college at SUNY Genesee. Joel quickly found a love for craft beer and eventually trained as a brewer. After spending several years as the R&D manager at the Rohrbach Brew Pub Brewery, Joel took over as director of brewing ops in 2022, overseeing the production facility in the Public Market District of Rochester. Most recently, Joel and his brother Nathan purchased Rohrbach Brewing Co. from the original owner, John Erlob, in March of 2026, and now Joel acts as the president of the company. Brian Nagel joined Genesee Country Village and Museum as curator of collections in September of 2005. He accepted the position as director of interpretation in February 2006 and was promoted to the position of senior director in June of 2017. He currently works as a historical interpreter and assists with PR and marketing as needed. He served as the master brewer when the Greaves Brewery opened in 2010 and occasionally is stationed there interpreting the mysteries of brewing. You may also find him in a variety of roles in the historic village throughout the year, from the Maple Sugar Festival and History on Tap through the Yuletide in the Country program. Welcome to the show, Joel and Brian.
Thanks. Great to be here.
Yeah, thanks. Good to be here.
Wonderful. So, Brian, first up, can you talk about Genesee Country Village and what it is, where it is for people who aren't familiar?
The Genesee Country Village Museum is located in Mumford, New York, about 20 miles south and a little bit west of Rochester, New York.
Okay.
We are the country's third largest living history museum. Williamsburg's number one. The Greenfield Village at Henry Ford is number two. We're number three based on number of buildings. We have 68
Oh, okay.
historic buildings.
Whoa.
The village covers about 22 acres. on a 600-acre property. We were actually chartered by New York State in
Hmm.
1966, opened to the public in 1976. We're celebrating our 50th anniversary this year.
Cool.
Oh, wow. Okay. And before the show, we were talking, and Joel, you're not the first collaboration with Genesee Country Village and Museum. How did you get no, I almost said roped into it, like you were coerced in some way, but that's not correct. How did you guys start collaborating together?
No, no, it didn't take any roping.
No roping,
So
got it.
no roping whatsoever. Uh, I'll back up a little bit to say that I grew
Sure.
up going to the museum.
Oh,
I've always
Yeah.
fun.
loved it. I think when I think back, it's like a huge part of why I've always considered myself a history buff. I went with my family, with my parents and my siblings, at least probably twice every summer. It's one of my favorite things to do as a kid. Um, and I actually, my brother and I just acquired this company this past March. I've worked for the company for about 17 years. The previous owner, John, was also a huge fan of the museum. So for us, when the opportunity came along to do this, I think it was back in 2021. The brewery that they previously worked with had closed, so they asked us to take over on this. For me and John, it was a huge opportunity, and we were both like, "Yes, please," because we both love the museum. And we had been, as a company, we had been a big sponsor for the museum even before that.
Oh.
So no, we loved getting the opportunity to do it and to kind of join forces with them.
So for what kind of beers are you brewing for the village and museum? And is this something you're brewing at the brewery? Are you trying to use
Mhm.
18th century, I mean, it's really hard with the technology we have today
Sure.
to go back and
Right.
try to recreate these recipes. So how are you and Brian working together to make sure that you're staying as true to the 18th century beer as possible?
Well, I'll have to let Brian speak a little bit on how they came up with the recipes. We kind of took over these long-standing
Okay.
recipes. We brew two beers for them. There's the Stocking Hill Farm Ale, which
Hmm.
is just a really old school American wheat with ginger in it, which I always thought
Hmm.
was interesting. And Brian, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that goes back to the days when they would use other ingredients instead of hops.
Uh,
For preservation purposes.
yes, a variety of ingredients, different kinds of spices were being used. Pumpkin, ginger was a very popular one. Grains of paradise, other items as well, just to give the beer, especially the small beers, table beers as well, there's some extra flavor beyond what the hops were giving. Oftentimes during the late 1700s, early 1800s, the difference between ales and beers, whereas the beers had hops and ales didn't. That's
Hmm.
all changed today. But we try to look back at some of the best known late 1700s beer recipes we could find, looking at some of the things that were being done on the East Coast primarily, and then developing our first brown ale, our Fat Ox Ale, based on what we thought was being done on the East Coast in New York, Philadelphia, and so forth. That was our first one was our Fat Ox Ale. Then we developed a different, an earlier version of the wheat beer, of the Stocking Hill Farm Ale, that included lemon and ginger, but
Oh, wow.
we changed that into the Stocking Hill with just a ginger in it. Finding that the lemon wasn't always holding up as well as we
Mm.
wanted it to.
And Brian, how did you do your research about deciding what to brew? Are these from books or letters or,
From books, from recipes or receipts, they called them back then, that looked at the kinds of beers being produced. We know that when they were roasting the malts, they couldn't control the degree in
mhm.
which they were being roasted. So we had a lot of darker brown malts being done. So the Fat Ale that we do is a combination of primarily a pale malt for the base, and then using brown and amber malts along with some wheat into that as well, and using Kent Golding hops. They would have probably gotten either from Europe or from New England at the time. Luckily for us, a great brewer at the first brewery we worked with, Jason Fox, has worked on some similar ones. And so we took a look at what Washington enjoyed, Franklin enjoyed as well, and added some molasses to our mixture, sometimes using maple sugar rather than that for extra sugars in the wort as well. That was our first foray into the mixture. Really nice, great American brown ale with notes of dark chocolate and coffee to the aroma with that. We're really pleased with the way that worked out.
Um, so there's been some talk of some ingredients, but Joel, are you doing anything special, to make sure to make them more authentic, I guess? Are you specifically using local ingredients? And even if you are, you know, modern lemons, for example, have been
Mhm.
hybridized or bred to have certain characteristics. Are you trying to find, is there such a thing as heirloom lemons or heirloom ginger? I don't know. Tell us about the ingredient sourcing, I guess.
Well, like Brian said, they stopped using the lemon in the beer. So as long as we've brewed the
Right.
recipe for them,
Mhm.
we have not used lemon in it. We are using ginger ground, um, and we overall we've just stuck true to the recipes. We haven't tried to change anything on our end. Like you said, the brown ale's made with an array of malts from crystal malt, brown malt, flaked oats, like they would have used back then, chocolate malt. Kind of like Brian said, there's a kind of they didn't have a lot of control, so it uses this array of dark malts to get that array of flavors that he was talking about.
Hmm. Cool.
And Joel, how much of this beer are you brewing at a time for? Is this a smaller batch or are you brewing it
Mhm.
year round? What's the capacity for stuff like this?
We do it year round for them. We do both draft and we put in cans, which I think we were the first brewery that was able to do that for them. So
Oh,
they're able
that's
to
cool.
sell it to go at the museum. We brew it in smaller 7 barrel batches.
Okay.
We're thankfully at our brewery we have the ability to do 20 barrel or 7 barrel. We've stuck with smaller batches,
Hmm.
mainly in the interest to keep it fresher for them. I think overall last year we produced about 35 barrels of it for the
Okay.
museum. Um, yeah, and we do it in
And
smaller batches to keep it fresher for them.
nice. And if I go to the museum, I can get a pint of these beers? Is there like a
Correct.
bar on site?
There's both the Depot Restaurant on the Great Meadow as well as the Freight House Pub, where we serve both of our beers that Rohrbach makes for us, along with some of their other products as well, seasonally at the museum. You can actually have a growler fill too if you want to, besides just getting a pint or a can
Oh,
while you're there.
that's cool that you can take it to go. I like that.
I think it'd be cool if you filled like the old cone top cans. Just kidding.
Cone tops? What are you talking about? Don, come on.
Old beer cans, they
We
had
need,
cone
we
Oh
need a
tops,
whole
yeah,
you know,
that's fair. That's fair.
but good
we
luck
need a whole
sourcing
nother
those.
Yeah.
we need a whole nother canning line for
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
that.
I guess so. My next question is, Brian, you have a 18th century brewery on site at the Country Village and Museum. Is this correct?
We do, based on what we've discovered, what we found, and luckily for us, we have the notes and diary of a man by the name of Thomas Douglas, who was the fifth Earl of Selkirk, who sailed from Scotland to North America in 1803,
Hmm.
went to Upper Canada first, but then came down to New York State to talk to business owners to find out what they did, how successful they were, and trying to find viable occupations for the Scotsmen they wanted to bring over to North America to set up their lives here. And he came to Geneva, New York, which is where Walter Greaves had this brewery right on the shores of Seneca Lake, a brewery, a malt house, and distillery
Ooh.
that they established there probably 1797 with a partner named John Moffat. By 1803, Moffat was gone, and it was just Walter Greaves. And luckily for us, Thomas Douglas made detailed notes about what he saw at the Greaves Brewery and distillery and so forth, and made plans and drawings of what they did, how they did it, and gave us a blueprint of what we needed to do to recreate the brewery, which our founder, John Whaley, who was president of Genesee Brewing Company, did back in the 1970s. And so we recreated the way it looked and the way it functioned back in 1803. We were originally brewing a couple times a week when we started this out in 2010. We've scaled that back now to usually brewing 4 times a year and combining that work with the some workshops that we're doing as well for the public to come in and actually brew with us and brew their own while they're there. We also combine what we're doing in the brewery in Rohrbach with our Hop Harvest Festival in usually August and September, and our History on Tap back at the end of May or early June, showcasing brewing wineries, cideries as well in the region for both of those events.
Very cool. And so if I walk into this brewery, what am I going to see? Just maybe give us a brief overview of what would have been in this building.
It is a wooden building. It's 3 floors, a basement, a first floor, and a second floor. Pretty standard production floor. In between the first floor and second floor is where our mash tun level is. In between the first floor and the basement is where our underback or lauter tun is as well. So you walk in, you're going to find the fermenters to your right as you walk in.
Hmm.
You're going to find the furnace off to the left, our wood shed, another room off to the left of that. Going up the stairs, you're going to see our mash tun. And then the top floor will have the 2 pumps, our water pump that would have originally brought water up from Seneca Lake into the kettle, the boiler. And then you'll find our mill up there as well, where we mill all the grain as it would have done back in the 1803 period. So we'll do all the milling up there. We heat the water up in our brew kettle. We then will, once we get that heated up to about probably 160, 170, we'll then mash with that for about 2 hours. We'll drain that
Ooh.
down to the underback, pump that back up to the boiler, and then we'll move after it boils for 2 hours. We added molasses and hops to that. We'll cool that down in 2 hours or less. Bring that down to our fermenters on the first floor, primary fermenters, and then it goes down to the basement to our conditioning casks down there, where we could add, if we wanted to, more sugar and keep that fermentation going from there until it was finished. We know that Greaves is making about 9,600 gallons of strong beers a year, typically brewing in March, April, May, again, September, October, November, and then selling that within about 15 miles of Geneva,
Hmm.
New York, to local taverns and inns who would sell it there for either by the glass or by the bottle.
These vessels are they copper, or can you talk about what they're made out of?
The kettle, brew kettle, is German style, and it's about 180 gallons. It's copper.
Okay,
The tons are all made right now of cypress. We're looking at having some of them redone in white oak in the next year or so.
cool. Thank you.
And the styles you make on these open brew days, are these the same beers that Rohrbach makes for you guys, or are you doing new stuff?
We're just doing demonstrations of the 1803 Fat Ox Ale, the brown
Oh,
ale.
okay, got it. Okay. And so you can see it how it was made back then, and then you can go to the restaurant or the pub and have the essentially the modern version, but with the oh, I love that.
Yep.
Like,
It,
that is so
it's
cool.
it's still unfiltered as it was back then as well. So it
Okay.
provides a really a classic way to taste that, or a great way to sample the Fat Ox Ale is to actually get it if it's cask conditioned, because there's very little carbonation
Hmm.
available back in 1803.
Sure.
Whatever carbonation you had from the fermentation process is what you're going to get coming out of the final product as well. So a pretty low carbonated beverage.
And then if you're serving these at the restaurant or the pub, can you what would they what are you serving them in now because it's modern, but what would people have been drinking out of back in the day? Would they have had special beer glasses or, pewter or wood, or what would people have been drinking out of back then? And then what do you serve it now? Because I hope you serve it in a fun glass.
Most likely back then it would have been in a either a redware, earthenware, or a
Oh,
stoneware
earthenware.
mug,
Sure.
possibly a glass, but most likely in a ceramic mug of some sort.
Hmm.
Um, we have made in the past ceramic growlers
Oh, cool.
to sell them in. Right now, to the public, we're serving them and making glass growlers
Okay.
available with our logos on them for either the Fat Ox Ale or the Stocking Hill Farm Ale
Hmm.
as well. Most folks will get their beers, their ales, in a plastic cup at this point. Sometimes you can get a glass as well if they want to. We have certain logos on some of our glassware as well, a modern style pint glass.
Got it. Okay.
Cool. Obviously this brewery is just a small part of Genesee Country Village, and we love talking about beer, but really how important was beer to the lives of people in the US at the time? Is this a staple? I'm assuming people weren't drinking, protein drinks then. So
Uh, we know in this area specifically that cider, hard cider, was one of
ah,
the kings of
Absolutely,
drinks.
yeah.
But certainly, a lot of folks were really looking to have more breweries established in their communities in New York State and Western New York as well, because the consumption of hard liquor was such a rampant problem. Even back in late of the 1780s, Dr. Benjamin Rush was putting together a moral and physical thermometer, identifying the temperance values of not only water and milk, but certainly small beers, strong beers as well, even cider for that matter, rather than having people drink hard liquor, whiskey, rum, gin, and so forth. So having a brewery in your community to provide for not only strong beers, but small beers and table beers would give everybody in the family a chance to consume something that was better for them and provided some nutrition. Also, not knowing if the water in your community is safe or not, having a good brewery that could give you a safe liquid to drink and keep up your electrolytes and so forth, and some carbs as well, was an important part of your health and community spirit.
yeah.
Nice. Joel, since you grew up going to this place, but I wanted to ask, what's the best part about this collaboration? And are there any options for a new style maybe in the future? I don't, so you can, there's so much choice. I don't know. I just wanted to ask.
I mean, honestly, I'd love to come up with a new recipe with them. That would be super intriguing project for me. Um, so Brian, hit me up at some point.
Oh, we'll definitely talk.
um, I'm sorry, what was the first question?
Oh, I was just gonna say, what's the best part about this collaboration? Is it, just getting to the nostalgia aspect of it because you went there as a kid,
Mhm,
or,
mhm.
getting to,
Um,
there's all sorts of stuff
yeah.
that the new beer styles, whatever.
Mhm. The nostalgia part's definitely big for me, but I think, for us as a company and for me as like the leader of the company, I just think I really like having connections with and doing what we can to invest in um, places like this that I think are huge for our community. Not just our community, but any people in from out of town. Like this is a very unique thing. Like Brian said, it's the third largest one in the country. There aren't,
Hmm.
not every city has a museum like this that
Yeah.
can really teach the people that go there about our history. So just I think that's special to me as the leader of a company to do what I can to stay connected to those types of places that I think are huge assets to our community and really help our community
Yeah.
to learn.
Awesome.
I think for me also finding ways to use the beers today, taking these historic recipes.
Mhm.
And I know that Joel and Rohrbach do themed dinners and so forth. We use some of the fat ox ale in some of our hand pies, our steak and ale pies that our confectionery sells in the historic village. And then our bakers also have been using both the fat ox ale and the sucking hill ale to make various kinds of breads that are quite popular as well. We have a fat ox ale style bread. We have one too that we add cheddar cheese and bacon to and sell. And the
Ooh.
Sucking Hill Ale works out very nicely with cranberry and orange and some of the breads as well. So our bakers at the museum have done a great job combining some of the beers that we've made, that Rohrbox has made for us, to baked goods as well.
Very
Cool.
cool.
That is cool. Yeah, this is a question for each of you to answer. What would you like people to understand about, what's something cool or a cool fact, I guess, to understand about 18th century brewing? And then, of course, it's the 250th anniversary of the United States. So are, each of, again, you, Brian and Joel, doing anything special? Joel, why don't you go
Well,
first?
yeah, I'll go first. In terms of something special we're doing, we actually just released on Monday. You know, we just called it America 250. It's like a kind of a classic American lager that we packaged and put out there. And we chose to make that essentially an all New York State ingredient beer to,
Nice.
just kind of focusing on being an independent brewery, tying that in, focusing on our local ingredients and how they can make an awesome beer. Um, yeah, so that's what we're doing there.
For
Cool.
us, we are having a variety of special events, special exhibits this year for our anniversary, 50th year for the museum, but also for the country's anniversary as well. A big 4th of July celebration, Independence Day celebration on July 4th, another one on the July 5th celebrating our history. The RPO, the museum, the Philharmonic Orchestra in Rochester is performing a special concert for us on July 11th. And later in
Very
July, we're going to
cool.
have a centennial exposition as well, as they may have done in 1876 at the museum too.
Oh, that's
So,
cool. I like that.
That's awesome. Well, guys, thank you so much for coming to talk with us today. If people want to reach out to either of you or learn more about the museum, the village, or the brewery, do you guys have a social media or a website that you can share? Joel, why don't you go first?
Yeah, our website is www.rohrbach.com, and our Instagram is, at Rohrbachs,
Cool.
Rohrbachs.
and for the museum, you can reach us at www.gcv.org. All our links to Facebook, Instagram, and TikTok are all right there as well.
Cool. Thank you guys so much for coming on the program today to talk about your collaboration and 18th century brewing. This was awesome. Really appreciate it.
Yeah, this is
Thanks for
great.
inviting us.
Yeah.
Yeah, thanks for
Cheers.
having us.
Thank
Cheers.
you. So, Don,
Yes.
what'd you think?
I think that's really cool. I love people who've done all the research and, know what they're talking about. It's not
I
just
also,
myths and,
yeah.
yeah, anyway. So how about you?
I really like that there's a 18th century brewery that you can visit,
That
you
is
know,
functioning too.
that
Like,
functions and that, and then I really like how, hey, we're gonna make this beer for you, and then you can go to the pub and drink the like kind of the 21st century technological interpretation of it,
yeah,
from the original notes that they have. Like, that's so cool.
yeah, yeah.
The nerd in me really likes that. And then just learning about
You,
I
nerdy?
know what me and nerd, you what? Come on now. And then, just talking to Mark and all of his vast knowledge of food and how a tavern is not what we think a tavern is.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I've added that into my talks now. Just from like I think that's really cool. So,
Yeah, that,
what
that
a
was a great
cool
episode.
what a
Yeah.
great episode. Happy birthday, America.
Happy birthday, America.
Anyway, please visit allaboutbeer.com and follow us on social media at allaboutbeer. And you can visit allaboutbeer.com /support to support this show and others. If you have questions for the experts, email podcast@allaboutbeer.com. That's the email for feedback, suggestions, or to inquire about supporting this show through advertising. Don, how can people reach out to you?
Oh, people, please drop me an email at dawn@thedawnofbeer.com, or you can follow me on X, Threads, Blue Sky, and Instagram at the Dawn of Beer, or on Facebook at the Beer Dawn. How about you, Em?
I am at Pints and Panels on the two I mainly use are Facebook and Instagram, and my website is pintsandpanels.com. Here is a friendly reminder. Please help us to go to your favorite podcasting app, the one you're listening to right now. And please, if you love this show, give us a 5-star review.
And if you don't love this show, give us a
And if you
five-star review.
don't, well, I mean, don't give us a 1-star review.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Unless you have really good constructive criticism, just email
Oh,
us the constructive criticism.
right.
Don't, yeah,
Thank
there you
you.
go. You're
Thank you.
welcome. Maybe also drop an email to our supporters and breweries that have underwritten All About Beer to let them know you appreciate them, to helping you bring this fun, free show to the airwaves. And
Yes.
by the way, here is a final word from our sponsor.
What can I say? Once you go salvo, you don't go back. Better yields, repeatable performance, and fewer hop solids to drag you down. No more heavy hop loads, no bitterness spikes, just variety specific hop flavor. It's the easiest way to sharpen your aroma profile while improving your yields batch after batch. Find out more at shop.hotsteiner.com or ask a sales rep how Salvo can help you.
Escarpment Lads is the official yeast partner of Pink Boots Brews. Their Pink Boots yeast is a versatile German Kolsch strain that works across different beer styles. In light beers, it delivers bright, white wine-like aromatics. In hop-forward beers, it drives clean, citrus-forward biotransformation. Every purchase supports the Pink Boots Society, with 15% of proceeds funding scholarships and professional development for women and non-binary people in brewing. To place an order, email sales@escarpmentlabs.com.
This episode is brought to you by Athletic Brewing Company. Athletic Brewing's non-alcoholic beer tastes so good, you won't believe it's non-alcoholic. Their brews are available at over 75,000 grocery stores, liquor stores, bars, and restaurants nationwide. Or you can grab some of their limited time offerings directly from their website. That's where you'll find exciting innovations like their first ever nitrogen-infused dark brew, Emerald Cliffs. And right now, you can save up to 25% and get a free glass and unlock access to exclusive brews when you sign up for the Athletic Club and purchase 4 or more six-packs. Go to athleticbrewing.com to get brews shipped directly to your door or find retailers near you. Near Beer. Terms and conditions. Certain limitations apply. Athletic Brewing Company. Fit for all times.
This show is produced by All About Beer. Visit allaboutbeer.com for articles, notes on this show and others, and to connect via the newsletter and social media. Cheers, everyone.
Cheers. America, love you.
That is not how it